Douglas Cooling and Heating, serving the Birmingham area for 38 years. 988-3706. That's Douglas.
This is your Weather Extreme video for Friday, December the 30th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters, and we're closing out 2011 on a rather mild note. There's a look at the Skycam network from the Alpha Skycam network of ABC 3340, and you can see that we have some sunshine over Birmingham. We also have fog in the area. There's a look at Clanton, where the fog is rather dense, but the fog a lot patchier and less widespread than we've seen the last couple of mornings. And then there's another shot where you can see some clouds as we look out over the courthouse at Fayette. Rather benign weather pattern, as most of the traveling weather systems are across the northern tier of the United States, and you can see from the satellite water vapor imagery overlaid with the 500 millibar chart, you can see that we're dealing with one trough moving across the Great Lakes area. That is having a minor effect on us, bringing us the clouds. And then we have on the west coast and northwest coast, we have another system coming in, and that's the one that's going to be digging in and bringing us some colder air. Across the continental U.S., though, we're rather mild, typical to see 20s in the Rockies this time of year. The coldest temperature in the country yesterday, by the way, was -4 at Saranac Lake, New York. We're dealing with mild weather, but for the next couple of days, that'll be mild, but then it's going to be changing. We started the day off generally in the upper 30s for many locations, but that has climbed nicely into the 40s and will continue to climb into the lower 60s. QPF-wise, not expecting a great deal of precipitation. As a matter of fact, the front that is expected to come through on January the 1st, I'm thinking it's going to be essentially dry. Clouds, yes, maybe a few spits, but not enough really to talk about. The morning 06E GFS model run looks like this, and you can see even this morning we had a few spits, especially in the northeastern part of Alabama, but you can see we have a lack of any systems across the southeastern U.S. On the upper air chart for Saturday, you can see that one moving across the Great Lakes today is now over the mid-Atlantic states, and here comes the one that was on the northwest coast this morning that is diving into the central part of the country, and that will dive in and carve out a pretty significant long wave trough over the eastern half of the country on the 1st. That will bring a cold front through, and it looks like on Sunday, January the 1st, it looks like temperatures holding pretty steady across central Alabama. You can see the GFS just not forecasting a lot of rain. And again, I think anything we have will be more in the form of sprinkles. Now, how does it compare to the European? Well, the European's a little wetter. Actually, timing, these are the same times off different runs because the European is only run 0Z and 12Z, but the model's in reasonably good agreement. Moving out to the second, you can see that fetch. Look at that fetch. Wow, track that all the way up from Chicago all the way up into extreme northern Canada. Whoa-wee! And that's allowing for a lot of cold air. As I said this morning, the freezer door has been left open. And you can see the thicknesses diving down into central Alabama along the lines as to what the GFS was forecasting. Not quite as far as the European was forecasting. We see a little beginnings to the system breaking down on the 3rd as the main energy moves off the Atlantic coast, and with that we'll see the thicknesses begin to moderate just a little bit, but it'll still be pretty chilly. European actually a little chillier with the 540 line still laying across central Alabama according to the Europeans. So I think the GFS probably got a pretty good handle on this one in allowing us to warm up relatively quickly as the pattern changes. By the 4th, Wednesday the 4th, we're still under a northwesterly flow, so still a bit of a chilly look to the overall pattern, but certainly improving as we moderate just a little bit. We begin to come under the edge of the ridge, moving our way from the west on the 5th, Thursday. And then a week from today, we're under a ridge, but we've got one of those little pieces of energy coming out of the southwestern U.S., and that could be spelling some wet weather for us. Maybe not until the 7th, but at least a week from today, we'll have to be watching that next system. And interesting, when you get this far out, and we are verging on voodoo country, it's interesting to note that the European is completely dry this far out, with no evidence of that. So certainly model differences, which you typically expect even that, that far out. So Some interesting model differences there anyway. Now, back to the GFS. As we look out into Voodoo country, the 8th you can see is mild. We have a nice southwesterly flow aloft with a wet system probably coming our way with some rain as a result of tapping into the moisture out of the Pacific. The long wave trough stays with us on the 12th, or it kind of returns after it's been gone for a short while. And so we're going to see some more colder weather, it looks like. And, of course, that long wave trough really staying in position, tapping into the cold over the western part of Canada. Well, I appreciate you tuning into the Weather Extreme video. I expect to have the next one posted around 8 or so tomorrow morning, a little earlier since I won't be handling the duties at ABC 3340 since we don't have a news show in the morning on Saturday. In the meantime, I hope that you have a wonderful Friday, whatever your plans are, and by all means, be sure to have a designated driver for the first New Year's Eve. And any partying you're going to do, it's okay to drink, but just go ahead and be responsible. Make sure you get a designated driver. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Have a great day, and Godspeed.
Being Alabama's news leader means digging deeper to get you the facts, working harder so you have all sides of the story, and not being afraid to tell the truth. Every day you award us by making ABC 3340 Alabama's most watched news. And now the Associated Press has named us Alabama's most outstanding news operation. That's 9 times since 1996, more than all other stations combined. And that's 9 more reasons you should trust the news leader. ABC 3340.